Good evening, folks. Good afternoon. Good evening,
Good
Judge.
evening, sir.
Dana, again. Dana, I sent you a message here, so I hope you got it this time. I just want to say this. I am a bishop, and I've been listening to all the conversations here tonight. And of course, there are some very powerful opinions, powerful discussions of people's feelings and how they feel. Everybody was brought up in a different way. We weren't all brought up the same. So our views are going to be different. But the one thing that I haven't heard is how do we fix it? I haven't heard anybody offer any solutions. Now, everybody's mad because the president has taken the choice to go in and start cleaning up. Sometimes when you have to clean up something, we've been going through a cleanup, quote unquote, process for many, many years, and it hasn't gotten us any real positive results. What it's gotten us is more people on the street, fentanyl, and many other things. Yes, you have corrupt politicians, you have corrupt people in the police departments. So you have corruption everywhere because of money, power, and greed. It's been there for centuries. This is not our first go around with this type of chaos. It's been like this for a long time. So we should have enough sense to understand that we're still fighting the same battles. We're still fighting corruption. We're still fighting greed. We're still fighting people that don't want people that they deem lower than themselves. They don't want them to survive. One gentleman made a point and said that the kids didn't have a third grade reading level. Understand that, and that's a terrible thing, especially this day and age. But let me remind you that our ancestors didn't have third or second grade level education, and they had more common sense under their little nail than we have now. They knew what they were up against, and they did everything that they could within their limitations to make things better for the next generation. The problem is the next generation didn't continue that. And yes, the game got harder. The game got bad. The game got worse. Not only was the government on us, but we even had our own people that were being traitors to us as a people. Judge Brown has mentioned that on a number of occasions. All of these factors have come together, and we still have the same problem. The core issue is getting fathers back into the homes. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. One of the reasons why we are in the position that we're in is because we don't have fathers in homes. Anybody can go out and have a baby. Yes, you can go out, you have sex, you have a baby, but that doesn't make you a father. Number two, we have encouraged our children to act the way that they do. The responsibility is on us. It's on you. We keep trying to put it on everybody else, but we absolutely refuse to say we are the problem in our own communities. We could clean up our own communities if we did that, if we actually went out and did it, but we don't. And then we want to blame it on everybody else. So I'll just say this and then I'll yield. Stop finding excuses to use from the past, because in one way or another, we were all part of the problem. The issue is, are you going to be part of the solution? Sometimes solutions require a bigger hand. And in this case, I believe that that's what is required in order to start cleaning up our communities. We've done it from the subtle part. We try to do it through the government. And just like the judge said, the power is in the people. Start working in your own communities. Stop putting people in office that you know are not going to represent your interests. And if you find out, then use the laws and put them out. But you won't do that because you have an excuse. And that's exactly what they've been putting into our heads. We're victims. We don't have a way to get out of this. And that's absolutely not true. And if we stop thinking that way and start acting more responsibly and start putting the fathers back in our homes, we need to fix our homes first. I heard the quote of where the police departments, where they were going after the smaller criminals versus going after the bigger ones. So if they went after the smaller criminals and it started dropping down the crime rate, so you go get the little fish. You go get the little fish. You will cut back. So what's the little fish in our case? Our children. Get back in the homes. Start teaching them. If you don't know, there's plenty of ways to find out, but you have to go out and search for it. And I'm going to yield. And thank you all very much.
Can I ask Bishop a question?
1 second. I got your message. I'll reply back in a minute.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Can I ask Bishop a simple question?
Didn't I
real
just
quick?
say, wait a minute? I heard you.
Okay, my bad.
I know what I'm doing with facilitating X spaces. What you said with power in the people, it is. It most certainly is. And now I'm gonna throw this question out there, but I really want to examine it in the next space. But the question is, sometimes the government will sometimes conquers over the people, but the power is in the people. So what was the question? Go ahead, Bretman.
Bishop, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna assume, I don't want to put an age on you. I'm gonna assume you plus 50 at least.
Your Honor,
so-
they're gonna need your
62.
voice on this.
Okay.
62.
Okay, so that means you went through the crack era. You even went through civil rights. You even went through Judge Joe Brown's era, the Black militant era, Black Power. So I just want to ask you a simple question, brother. In your honest opinion, do you believe that Black people are far more better as a community, as people, performing far more better as a community, as people now than we were then? Or do you think it's vice versa?
To be quite honest, I don't believe that we've progressed a whole lot. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I say that. We had the opportunities back in the 80s and the 90s to increase ourselves, to have businesses. We still had problems with the government. We had hurdles that we had to jump when we had to go around. Yes, we did. But we had the opportunities to build businesses. We had opportunities to get into our education system. We had the opportunities to start weeding out people that we knew as we came along in that era that were turning the country in a different direction. We knew this through our education system. Now, some people tried. Some people didn't. The majority didn't. Because when the government found out that the people were starting to open up and starting to have vision as to what was going on, they twisted the screws on us. And they came at us from another direction. The drugs increased. When we got into the 90s, that's when rap music came about. I never was a fan of rap music. I knew that rap music was going to get us to a point to where it was going to degrade our females. And as a people, it was going to make us look like thugs. And that's exactly what it did, whether you agree with that or not. So that's why I say, no, we're not better off. I'm not talking about materialism. I'm talking about our attitude. So I'm talking about our attitudes on how we approach a problem, how we're trying to resolve this problem. Our attitudes have not changed. We're still in a plantation mentality. We still are gripped by what others tell us to think. We're not thinking for ourselves.
Yep.
One of the reasons why is because we feel defeated. And I understand that. I understand the defeat. But at the same time, in history, when every people that were oppressed, when they felt defeated, they did something to come out of it. And it took extreme measures, but they came out of it. Our ancestors did the same thing. We're at another point in history where it's going to take extreme measures for us to get ourselves back and get out of this. And we as a people need to stop fighting each other. I'm so sick of us acting a fool and providing the world with entertainment with our actions of our ignorance and stupidity, because that's what we're doing. We keep showing them how ignorant and stupid we are. And that's not all Black people. That's not the majority of us.
Not
we have to do something. We have to do something in order to stop it. And it starts at home.
First off, baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1966. If it was born outside of that, it ain't a baby boomer. Now, next thing, stop. Just some of the people that get mentioned as being part of the problem are not boomers. Now, next thing here, I will say this. From World War II to where we are now, we have many, many more options available right now. The problem is we do not exercise those options because we glorify dysfunction. Our worldview and mindset is such that when we look at a situation and try to analyze it, we come up with things that tend to be dysfunctional rather than those things that actually address and might correct the problems that we face. Next thing that is an illustration of that, now let the next person come up, is what we do. There has always been what they call the Robin Hood syndrome, which effectively is somebody robs from the rich and gives to the poor. He sets up a condition of righteousness where he corrects an exploitive situation. We are not robbing from the rich and giving from to the poor. We're robbing our neighbors. We are not giving the stuff that avariciousness has deprived the ordinary people of back to the people. We're stealing it from the people who have been suffering the most. We talk about organized crime, and when we look at it, you have only to look at the popular culture around and about organized crime. If you're talking about the mafia or something like that, you don't sell drugs in your community. You don't make your women whores. You do not rob your people. You do not burglarize your people. You don't shit where you eat, in other words. And that's what we do. We rob our own. We burglarize our own. We poison our own. And we have all sorts of justifications for it, wherein those people who rise above it say, in spite of the justifications, we will take the hard steps, bite the bullet, so to speak, and do what is necessary to move beyond this dysfunction. Now, I pass the microphone.
Thank you for sharing your space, Your Honor. I want to just thank you so much for what you just said about our community. I'm talking about Black Americans victimizing Black Americans. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, which just went viral for the second time in like months.
Shout out to Cincinnati.
No, ma'am.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm in Ohio right now, and I said I'm going to take a trip down there because I think Cincinnati is special, but go ahead.
Okay, Cincinnati is very socio-economically segregated. In the 1940s, I want to say, It's the Bryn Mawr, something like that, where they displaced 25,000 Black Americans from their residences in order to build the expressway. That community never recovered. So that community traditionally stays in poverty. What we saw when the white man slapped the Black man and the melee went on, everybody got so excited as if they're heroes. Nothing was heroic about that. What I'm calling in about is the reaction from our so-called leaders in our city. We have in Cincinnati, Ohio, a Black woman or child murdered every week. We literally had an 11-year-old get shot up in the park with other 12-year-olds. The police didn't look, our Black leaders didn't say nothing. The day that the melee or the brawl or whatever you want to call it happened, a woman was shot in her head in front of her child. She died that day. Nobody said anything about it. These people who are not elected, these are clergy people, church leaders. We had one state representative, the vice mayor, and one city council member. They came out with a press conference demanding that the white man who slapped the man and started the fight, etc., also be brought up on charges in order to have equality of law. But they ignored a Black woman who was shot at 15 to 20 times on her way home. She was shot in the back and killed. When I tell you, no one cares when Black people, particularly Black men, murder Black women, abduct us and make us into sex trafficking victims, get us addicted to drugs, etc. We have people who will come out and protect them. We don't have anyone who advocates on behalf of Black people who are also victims of Black people who commit crimes against us and our communities. Cincinnati literally has a community called Whitten Terrace, where a 7-year-old was asleep in his bed, shot in his head. A pregnant woman was cooking, shot while she was cooking. We had a 9-year-old who was in her grandmother's living room playing TikTok, shot by a drive-by. We never have Black leadership speak to that. Matter of fact, they say it's not a problem. They tell us crime is going down. I'm excited to see President Trump step up, step in with federal, local, and state government. They offered Cincinnati all the help that they could get, and Cincinnati refused it. They rejected it. We need help. If the Black community, especially the Black men, refuse to organize for self-defense, refuse to organize themselves into business cooperatives, refuse to just stop harming each other and also us, we need to have government step in. And I just thank you, Judge Brown, for being the voice of reason and establishing law and order. We have to follow the law. Law protects us. When you don't have law and you have all this disorder, it becomes cultural. And now you have these teen takeovers. You got all these cars running around. You got all these teens fighting late at night. We need police. That's what I had to say. Thank you.
Well, hold on
Thank
for a
you,
second,
ma'am.
I say.
Quick remark. Gentlemen, you hear the lady offering an appeal to your masculinity, saying, we need help, we need protection. And I'm not hearing that except from a very few of us tonight. What I am hearing is a lot of excuses and how we are supposed to be victims and suffer along. But the lady is offering the feminine appeal, saying, hey, we need help. When are you guys going to start taking care of your business and offering the help instead of excuses? No,
And real quick, I sent you a message and please say yes to it. But so then I think I do need to take back saying shout out to Cincinnati, because I just moved to New Ohio. So I'm an outsider basically. And what I see, whether it's on social media or the news, Cincinnati having these press conference, when it's an incident, when it was the police officer that shot the young Black man, what went on with the Cincinnati brawl. So you have these community leaders, you have these church members holding these press conferences. So in my eyes, I'm looking at it like, oh, okay. Oh, and then when the white supremacists did their parade there and stuff, and then the Black people came out saying, get out of here. So I'm looking at it, okay, Black people down there in Cincinnati, they got it going on to where they're going to stick up for themselves and, you know, and try to do the right thing where they live at. But when you came up here and you're saying like, no, it's another side to it that they're not showing on the news and on the media. So, you know, talking about the Cincinnati brawl and arresting the white man, like you said, why not talk about the black woman that was murdered? You know, they're not even talking about that or doing anything about that. So
we are not safe. If you look up Ohio State Representative, I want to say her name is Sharon Brown or something like that, but she's paid by AIPAC. She was pushed into her seat by AIPAC to push Nina Brown out. I mean, what is Nina's last name? Nina Turner.
I know Nina.
Nina
I was about
Turner.
to say Nina Simone, but yeah, Nina Turner. Yeah.
So she was paid by the American Israeli Political Action Committee to take the seat of Nina Turner. And when she was running, if you look her up right now, all she talks about is immigrants.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's sickening. In Ohio, you have a large swath of missing children. You have a lot of poverty. Now, I won't down Cincinnati completely. I understand the pride that Black Americans have when we are the winners of the Civil War. Cincinnati, Ohio we have a monument in the middle of downtown that shows you it was the Civil War soldiers from Cincinnati and Kentucky that won the Civil War. So those are the descendants of those type people. We had a riot in 2001 to fight back against Black males being shot by the police. And out of that came the collaborative agreement. All of the activists and the police, etc., brag on the collaborative agreement and how it reduced Black males being shot by the police. That's fine. I feel you. However, it goes back to Black males. I heard the bishop say the man needs to be back in the house. Not until he corrects himself. Not until, if you look it up, if you do the actual investigation, Bishop, you'll find that Black women are being murdered every 5 hours by a domestic partner, by gun violence or other in this country as a whole. Black women are not protected. We're not allowed to speak. When I'm sitting here telling people what's really going on, you get called a feminist, you get called all kind of names to silence you. But we are really in dire straits. We do not have community that protects women and children. Our children are only at risk of poverty, our children are at risk for being homicide victims. If you look at the gun memorial for Washington, D.C., just in this last 2 weeks, you got 5 or 6 people murdered. You got just in the weeks of July, it was 2 people murdered every week in Cincinnati. Again, we don't have so-called leadership, whether elected, whether clergy. They do not speak to the average person. We're so worried about racism and Trump and the white man. We refuse to hold each other accountable. We refuse to create economic resources. And so now that they're saying there's going to be no more Section 8 or government funded housing, etc., Cincinnati is 40% poor. They're 40% in poverty. Most of the housing over the Rhine is government housing. If they lose that housing, you have a whole group of homeless people. We should not be looking to our government to house us. We should be looking to our men. Our men should be saying, we are lacking in construction jobs. Brothers, let's teach each other construction, electrician. Let's get out here and get back to building. Let's get our credit together so we can get some micro business loans so that we don't have to keep going to all these foreigner stores and making them and their children millionaires. You can't even talk like that to our men. The first thing they say is the white man, the crack cocaine epidemic, I didn't do it, the white man did it, and they just refuse to be held accountable. And it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. It was 75 shots. No one got hit, but this just the other night, 75 shots. Somebody fired 75 bullets through a community. All you could hear was women and children running on the news, women and children screaming. That's not the Klan. That's not the white man. That is Black men refusing to unify, deciding consciously that we're going to be menaces to our own community. They are making that decision. And I mean, I don't want to, go on and on. I know you guys give us that space and it's really good.
No, you can continue.
But we really need to start talking about ways that we can. I heard the man say, we're not empowered. We're defeated. I'm not defeated. I'm empowered. My community is at war with itself. And we need for our men to stop pointing the finger at the white man. It's not 1965. It's not 1995. It is 2025. We literally got our young men out here running around in skirts and red dresses. People applauding them for that as they abandon their masculinity. We don't have any protection as women and children in Black communities. You can go to Memphis, you can go to Florida, you can go to Baltimore, you can go to California, you can go to Texas, and you'll find the same situation. And it has nothing to do with rap music. I'm tired of hearing that. And then when you talk about the criminal element of the immigrants work with Rick Ross. Free Ray Rick Ross, who is praised by us, bragged about making $3 million a month selling crack cocaine. We love BMF and Big Meech. These men destroyed Detroit on purpose with crack cocaine and homicides. People don't realize the impact of human trafficking and sex trafficking in Atlanta that came from the rap game and BMF and the strip clubs and all the sisters that we have who wind up killed behind that game. We're not talking realistically. And because we're not, when Holly, the white woman, got punched and knocked out, that was bad optics, because white men who are in power do and will protect their women and children. And they have decided as a group, we will bring in the state, the federal, and the local to get control of males who don't respect femininity. And she got $500,000. She healed. But like I keep telling people in Cincinnati, our sisters are dead. The last woman that was shot and killed, that got shot at 15 to 20 times, she had 5 children. She was 34 years old. She was a single mother. There is no GoFundMe.
Well, may I interrupt a second? Who's
Yes, sir.
teaching these boys this kind of thing? These kind of things?
I don't think it comes from mothers.
Well, the fathers aren't around, so where is it coming from?
When you are a single mom and you go to work and your child comes home from school, it is men in the community who wake up every day to decide to stand at the store. They stand at the store and they hang out at 34 years old with 15-year-olds. So we've been having a lot of 15-year-olds getting killed by 34-year-old men.
Okay, who raised them?
In my opinion, Your Honor, it's not who raised them, it's who didn't raise them.
Okay, well, how do you get the guys involved in it?
And how you get the guys involved in their child's life?
Yeah, and raising or standing in for somebody else's child. You're saying,
well, if you were a man,
just on the corner.
Wouldn't you?
I mean, hold on. I'm making a point here. And I'm not necessarily negating what you're saying, ma'am. I'm just asking you. You're saying that men who aren't necessarily related to the children should stand in. How do you get them to do that?
No, sir, I did not say they should stand in. I said they are standing in. That's where the gangs are coming from, because there are single women who are choosing to not abort these children from relationships for whatever reason that did not last. They have these children. They do the best they can, provide food, clothing, housing, shelter. When those children get of a certain age, they look for a larger family. They look for a larger community that they do not have with their mother. They may even be looking for a male role model. And what they'll find in their community, especially if they're in low income community, is these menaces, these predators in our culture, in our communities, who do not work. They do not want to work. They thrive off being the criminal element. And they're teaching that to young men instead of teaching them apprenticeship skills in electricity. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Perhaps they don't have any to teach. And remember my remark several times tonight about the process of glorifying dysfunction? And then Black leadership. Do you think Al Sharpton can do something about this?
No,
do you
sir.
think Cory Booker can do anything about this to be a good example?
No, sir.
Well, I think.
Well, why do we
Black
support?
leadership
Wait,
can,
hold on
if
a
it's
second.
the right one,
Hold
if
on,
it's the
hold on a
right
second.
kind of Black leadership.
Hold on a second. Why do we as a community support these negations who cannot do anything about setting a good example instead of seeking those out who can. We have choices as to who we support, but we support the Al Sharptons and the Cory Bookers. And
But that's what she was saying.
now, do you have any solutions that you would proffer?
Your Honor, I
She
appreciate
did
you
give
making that
solutions.
statement. I would say Black women are on the right path. Abortions are going down as well as births. We're deciding to wait later in life to have children to make sure we're financially stable or with a more committed partner. That's a trend that's growing, but the birth rate is also plummeting. So the government or census or wherever, they're looking at our numbers and saying women are not producing enough children. So that's going to be another problem down the road. But I agree with you. We need stronger male leaders. I don't know where they're going to come from. I know King Randall down in Albany, down in
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah, Albany,
He's a
Georgia.
strong brother, strong leader. I think he's going good.
Yes.
New era Detroit, new era Houston, new era Chicago, Zeke and them. They're kind of like a Black Panther movement, providing free food, school assistance, and men who will demand that the men in the community who have committed a crime be held accountable. And they hope that the police catch them before New Era Detroit does. I can complain all day, like all of us can. But in honesty,
Can I ask you a real quick question, please?
can I
Go
finish?
ahead, sir.
Why have we? I have not heard of these organizations that you're talking about. So, can you tell me why we have not heard about these organizations that you were just talking about?
Are you in Detroit?
No, I'm in Texas.
Okay, so New Era Detroit, you can find them on Facebook. You have to have media, you have to have a powerful media machine, which is what Al Sharpton has. New Era Detroit works in Detroit. There's also a Committee 300 of retired police officers and others who volunteer in the community to help track down people who have committed crimes. That's in Detroit. Those are the men in Detroit who have decided to organize and do what they think is necessary. That's Detroit. They branched out to Chicago, they're branching out to Houston, but they can't be held accountable for the whole nation. And when you talk about King Randall, these are internet, most of these people are known on the internet. They may not be known in
What she's
media.
right. Basically what she is saying is where you live at in your community, men need to come together and organize and protect their community. That's what New Era is doing in Detroit. That King Randall, he's doing that where he lives at in his community for the youth there. So we don't all live in the same place. We use the internet so that we can have these discussions, maybe network, but you need to go back where you live at, on your block, on your street, in your city, as men and organize. It is not a woman's job to uplift a man or to make a boy into a man, because we cannot. So when you ask a woman, well, what about this with men? Don't ask a woman that, because it is not our job to know. That is for men who are real men to teach boys how to be men. And that starts with
And I mentioned,
accountability.
and I
Okay,
mentioned,
hold on. How about this concept? Both genders have equal responsibility for the outcome. So rather than blaming one at the expense of the other, you blame both and say it has to be a cooperative thing.
Of course it does, because two people made a baby, two people need to raise that
doesn't
child.
necessarily mean they should have.
Huh?
You have a woman that's got 3 children, 3 different baby daddies. She's not taking care of the child or the children. Somebody else is. She has a 4th one, then a 5th one, and a 6th one. Why don't you ladies step in and say, hey, that's wrong. You need to stop that.
Well, women,
We
hold on for a second.
we can step in with the guys and
Hold on for
say,
a
hey,
second, Judge. Wait,
you need
Judge, hold on for
to.
a second. Hold on for a second. Because I don't want to deter the conversation to go about a woman's reproductive system. Because at the same time, if I sat up here and I have 4 kids by 4 different men, if I'm taking care of them, doing my part, and they're taking
But you're
care,
not taking
hold on,
care.
I'm not done.
I'm not.
If I have 4 kids, by 4 different men, and I'm doing my part as a mother, and all those different men are doing their part as a dad, then there should be no issue. It's when
But they're not.
it is when
Okay.
a parent, whether it's 1 or 2, are not handling their responsibilities.
It's not 1 or 2.
When I say 2, it could be
And the
both parents
point
who are
is,
pieces of shit, or it could be
the
one
point
who's a piece
is
of
you're
shit.
setting up another thing too. Remember the fact about the recitation I gave about glorification of dysfunction? That is not how a family is supposed to work. But yet it's being pushed as though it is. It's not. I said one of the problems we have is the wrong worldview, wrong ideation, wrong way of looking at things. That is one of our problems.
And I
We are
agree.
psyching ourselves out. So there are preachers on the pulpit who would talk about sin. In other words, what's wrong and what you need to do right. We don't have that now. All you're supposed to do is believe. Nobody's talking about sin or wrongdoing. We're all talking about compromising on what is a bad set of circumstances. We need to start biting the bullet and saying, hey, that's wrong. We don't need to do that. I don't care how deep into it you happen to be, stop it. But we don't say that. We say it's all right, we can work with it, and nobody stops because they feel justified in doing it. That's why we have such a problem with crime. Everybody rationalizes it and starts saying it's okay, we can work around it. No, it's not okay. We have to start doing the hard things and say, stop. Maybe we need a cooperative effort. Bishop, you're listening. Tell some of the preachers to start preaching about sin again. Maybe they won't be able to buy the new car, but once every 6 or 7 years rather than every 2. But
I
Can I
agree with
say
you.
something?
I agree with you
Can
wholeheartedly,
am I?
Jeff.
Al Sharpton have free access to the airwaves when he's nothing but part of the problem. He's not a solution. He's an ass. And he
Can,
pushes this asinine crap of the improper ideation. We don't
And,
need that.
and
All right, 1 second.
let me just say this real quick. I promise, 5 seconds.
Go
Listen,
ahead, Bishop.
everybody has been, and the judge is right about this. There's a lot of clergy that are not preaching that, but I'm not one of them. I have been teaching and talking and hollering and screaming about this for 30 years. The problem is nobody wants to listen. Number 2, the other reason why we have a problem with it is because we have so many corrupt clergy that are in the pulpit. I understand that. That's a problem. See, there are many factors to the problem that we have. I am a bishop. I believe in the word. I know the word works. Okay.
and we
And
all say by Christ and his
I
mercy.
know that we need to get back to those roots. We need the leadership. We need the men. The lady said, we need the men back back in the homes. Okay. But she said that, no, we don't, because they're not prepared. Well, the only way that young boys get prepared is that they've got to have a man who at least has some moral value to be able to raise that boy to be a responsible young man. Now, a lot of people don't believe in the word, and a lot of people don't have faith in God. That's your choice. God gave you that choice. Okay. And I'm not going to argue with you about that. It is a
Can I say
choice.
something?
And just
Can I
like
chime in,
anything,
please?
and just anything else in this world, we make choices. You either make a choice to do better, or you make a choice not to do anything.
Okay, Krishan Sierra Wynn, who was a mother of 5, who lived in Over the Rhine, was on her way home walking from work. She was an innocent bystander. Someone decided to shoot the block up 15 to 20 times with no regard if she was married or single. She is dead. It does not matter if you notice Holly who was protected by the white men in her community, who ramped up $500,000 for her. They said and they empathized with the fact that she was a single mother of 3, thus making her more vulnerable. You cannot change the community by telling Black women to close their legs. Black men, if you look it up, if you care to do the research, the largest sex traffickers in Ohio are Black men trafficking 12 to 17-year-old girls. Most of the women that I know, Krishan was only 34 with 5 kids, and they were all under 18. So she's been having children since she became of age or less. Until, and it always will start with the men, because the sperm has to come from a willing partner. It has to come from a consenting partner. Women are not raping men. Young women are not seducing men to become fathers. When they choose abortion, they get cussed out. When they have the baby, they don't have support. All I'm asking for Black men to please stop allowing other men to come into our communities and kill us, women and children. And we can talk about mating, dating preferences, abstinence, celibacy, and marriage if we can make it to the other side. If you can stop shooting at us, if you can tell them niggas across the street to stop killing us instead of cussing us out because we make babies. And I'm done. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana, with the data. Dana with the data. Your Honor, have a great night.